was able to get one of these 930s. It's a real sweet device. I saw that Stephen had even color-coordinated shoes. I need to get those too. It's fantastic to be at Build. In fact, I was just reflecting. I think Terry said this is the 22nd year. In fact, I was in San Francisco for the very first PDC. It was not yet at Microsoft. This is when the Windows 32 Win32 APIs were unveiled, and ever since, I think I've not missed a PDC or a developer conference, so it's fantastic to be here with all of you. And it's also, you know, I was reflecting on it and saying, God, what happened? Like, why don't I have a proper keynote anymore at developer conferences? And this is one of those privileges you lose when you get kicked upstairs, is you don't have your own keynote anymore. But it's awesome to be here. In fact, if you think about what developers mean to us, it's pretty deep. We started out as a company that was focused on developers. We were a tools company before we were an Office company, before we were a Windows company. I was in fact talking to Paul Allen very recently, and he was reminiscing about his days when he was porting BASIC to all these new PC platforms, as he called it. And guess what? We are again in that sort of era right now. And you saw from Terry the entirety of the Windows family, from Internet of Things to the consoles, to tablets, to phones, to PCs. We have that proliferation of what I talk about as ubiquitous computing and ambient intelligence, or this mobile-first, cloud-first world where Windows is prevalent. So it's exciting times for us and exciting times for developers in terms of the opportunity to be able to take your creativity, your applications, your systems, and then bring them forth to Windows as it evolves. So we thought about what's the best way for me to have a dialogue with 5,000 of my closest developer friends, and we figured that it's probably a little logistical nightmare to try and do an open Q&A. So what we did was our evangelism group went out and got questions that are top of mind for all developers. Some of them were here, some in fact were watching on the webcast and recorded those questions. These are actually pretty hard questions and what's really top of mind for you. So what we'll do is we'll play those questions and I'll have a chance to respond and give you what I have as both my perspective on it as well as answers to some of the key things that you want answers to. So let's roll the first video with the first question.
Hi, my name is Shrav Mehta. I'm currently a developer at Lob.com. I work on the Android platform and I was wondering why I should consider using Windows.
It's pretty straight. Why build for Windows? That's the question. That's the question of the conference. That's the question of this morning. And I want to give you a very, very straight answer to it. You want to build for Windows because we are going to innovate with a challenger mindset. We're not coming at this as some incumbent trying to do the next version of Windows. We're going to come at this by innovating in every dimension of hardware, the software experiences across the Windows family, and go after this in such a way that you see us make progress with rapid pace. In fact, today was a massive milestone. If you look at what we've done on the phone, the update to the PC and tablet, the new devices Stephen showed, this is all what you can come to expect from us, and we'll keep pushing at it. There will be a couple of things that will be pretty unique to what we do. One is what I call the sensibility we have of bringing in end users, developers, and IT professionals together. That's one thing that we've always felt is what births the magic of platforms, from sort of the first version of Windows to what we think is Windows in this era of mobile first, cloud first. And then the second real attribute for us is to be able to create a developer opportunity, which is broad. So one of the things that we are doing is making sure that the opportunity for you as developers across the Windows family is expanding. Some of the changes that both Joe described and Terry alluded to where we are going, which is to be able to make your new applications built for WinRT and the Windows Store, in fact, the fact that you can use them in the desktop mode, that completely opens up a huge base of users for your applications that you're targeting Windows with. So this notion of creating the broadest Windows opportunity for you, or sockets for you, is a huge priority for us. And we have huge volumes still. We have hundreds of millions of PCs, tablets, and phones still on a run rate basis, and 1 billion plus PCs that will all be upgraded. So therefore, we have a significant opportunity for any application you target Windows. And then the last thing is we're betting on this platform ourselves. You saw from Tony Bauer how we're building the next generation of Office applications for this platform. So we are going to basically use the same platform that we want you to target to build our own set of applications. So those will be the 3 reasons, because we're going to innovate with the challenger mindset, we're going to create the broadest platform opportunity in terms of sockets for you, and we're going to bet on that platform ourselves, and that's the reason why you should target Windows. All right. Let's go to the next question.
Hi, my name is Siddharth Merchant, and I'm one of the organizers of HackTech, which is currently the largest student-run hackathon on the West Coast. At hackathons, most of my friends and I want students who use our apps to be able to use them regardless of what devices they own. So do you have any plans for ensuring that apps developed on Microsoft platforms easily port over to other platforms?
David Treadwell talked pretty eloquently about this. One of the core principles we have is we want to make it possible for every developer to bring their code assets forward and to be able to leverage their code assets they build in a very broad way across our own family, but also cross-platform. That's the principle that drives us, because we know, it's crazy to abandon what you've built, and it's also crazy not to be able to take what you've done and leverage it across the broadest spectrum of device targets, and that's really the approach that we want to enable. The first thing I'd say is, if you look at the platform itself that David went through, we're the only platform that has APIs with language bindings across both native, managed, and web. And the fact that that flexibility exists means you can build your core libraries in the language of your choice, and those core libraries you can take cross-platform. Obviously, the web being the one that's sort of easiest to conceptualize, and that's what we've done even by taking JS and putting it into open source and making it a community effort so that you can take it cross-platform. But we're also working with PhoneGap, we're working with Xamarin, and of course Unity to be able to help you take what you build for Windows cross-platform. And that particular sort of sensibility of being able to take your code, leverage it across the Windows family itself with our tool chain, but to be able to take your core libraries cross-platform is something that you can expect us to continue to partner well with, use open source, but be very, very mindful about how we enable you to do that. All right, the next question.
Hey Satya, I'm Derek. I'm a CS major from Stanford. One question I did have was, I have a Surface Pro and I use it every day at school, but I noticed most people either use iPads or they use Android tablets. And I was wondering, what is Microsoft doing to compete against Google and Apple in the tablet space?
When it comes to tablets, there are multiple dimensions of becoming competitive, and we're going to make sure we make progress on all of those. Great devices, it starts there. Great software on that devices, and then to have apps, as well as great price points. Those are the 4 dimensions I think of when it thinks about how do you get competitive with tablets. The 8.1 update is a big milestone on it. We've really made it possible now to have tablets across the full price range. So you will have many partners of ours produce tablets that will have the full range of prices, and to be able to really make sure we have tablets that anyone from a student to a professional can use. Now the second, when it comes to Surface itself, we will continue to innovate in driving what I think is the most productive tablet out there in the marketplace, and especially in combination with Office, as we build out these native applications for the new platform, you will see us continue to strive to make Surface the most productive tablet out there in the market. But when we sort of talk about tablet competitiveness, the key thing that we look at is what is the role of a tablet in a user's device family? Because if there was one thing in this morning's keynote, it's the Windows family. It's the consistency for the user, it's the consistency for the developer. And that's what we obsess about. And to be able to talk about the tablet competitiveness to the exclusion of that family is not where we are going. So therefore, we want our users to think about the Windows family of devices and the consistency of the user experience, and then from a developer perspective, it's a developer consistency, and that's how we get very competitive. All right, let's go to the next question.
Hi, my name is Ana Gabriela. I'm originally from Mexico City. I'm a UX designer, and I really like designing applications for Windows, especially phone and tablet. My question for you today would be, how do you see the approach of UX design inside Microsoft? How do you see this in 5 years? For example, you see more like on the touch side, or would be more sensor, voice command? That would be very interesting to know.
When it comes to design and user experience, we've come a long way. We have a fantastic team of people who are doing awesome work, and you see it in these personalized lifestyle experiences that we have created across the entire Windows family. In fact, we are now inspiration in some sense for other platforms, even in terms of design. And so you can expect us to continue to push the envelope on it. And this natural interface is definitely the frontier. Today you see, in fact, this morning's keynote stressed how we're thinking about gestures, how we're thinking about speech. With Cortana, in fact, a conversational agent. We're thinking obviously about how do we even make modern applications still work with mouse and keyboard. So it's a broad agenda when it comes to natural user interface. And I subscribe to what I think Bill Buxton, who is a researcher in Microsoft Research, talks about when you sort of reflect on what is natural about natural user interface. It's the context, which is who, where, what, when, should define the type of interface that you want to use with your application on the device. And to me that matters a lot, because speech probably is the best interface with any device when you're in the car. And to be able to get that right and to have applications interact with you in the right modality becomes very important, and to be able to do that with these natural interface advances in Windows is a pretty top priority for us. And I would say we are the ones who have the broadest range of input modes today that we are really innovating with across the Windows family, and you can continue to see us do so going forward. All right, let's roll the next question.
Hi, I'm Michael Purdue, an architect for GE Healthcare. As Microsoft invests more heavily in the cloud, vendors are wondering how they can design for the cloud, not simply migrate there. How will Microsoft support those vendors, particularly in the healthcare space, to do that seamlessly?
You're going to hear a lot more tomorrow in Scott Guthrie's keynote about all the advances in our cloud. But one of the things that we started our cloud effort with was with a very first-class notion of what is the cloud design point? What does it mean to build a native cloud app? In fact, the entire backend for Titanfall was built on this cloud service called Thunderhead, which runs on Azure, and it's got these amazing attributes. In fact, we are exercising those as on the day one, how we elastically scaled out that infrastructure, and then we scaled it back down after day one. That notion of writing to the cloud design point where you have your data tier built for scale out, that means you want to be able to partition your data for scale out, becomes a first class problem that you've got to solve as a developer. You want to make your middle tier stateless so that you're both resilient to failure and you can also really scale. The last thing is you want to be able to have all interactions async with your devices so you're not blocking. In many cases, especially in healthcare, you may want to rendezvous back with data inside your data center because you're not putting everything in a public cloud, and you make that a message passing system between the public cloud and your private cloud. And we have some great technologies like Service Bus. So really understanding the capabilities of the platform so that you can build cloud native apps and cloud first apps is very important to us, and we've put a lot of focus on tooling, samples, patterns, that we want to encourage developers to use to build, if you will, these applications that truly take advantage of the cloud versus just bringing your existing application to run in a virtual machine in the cloud. All right, let's go to the next question.
Hi, I'm David Yak. I'm a developer from Colorado Springs, Colorado. My question today is around the different APIs that Microsoft releases for each of their products. Today, developers have to relearn each time they pick up a new product. Is there something Microsoft can do to simplify that across the different products?
Yeah, for sure. We can, and we are, and we will continue to drive that. And this again came across all the keynotes this morning. The Windows Universal App, of course, is the first step in this direction. The APIs, I would say 90% of them now are consistent between Windows Phone and Windows tablets and PCs, and that's fantastic to see. We'll continue to push that. Everything, I know it is pretty irritating to have the camera API being different, or the life cycle and the controls, and we're fixing all of that and really bringing that consistency for developers so that you can have that shared library across a variety of device targets. And on the back end, of course, we've got great consistency. If you're a .NET developer, if you look at what we have done on Windows Server to Azure and with Visual Studio, we've made it much more seamless for you to be able to move your existing code and have consistency of the semantics of the API across all of these platforms, and we'll continue to push on that, and it's a pretty big focus for us. All right, let's go to the next question.
Hi, my name is Ross. I'm a developer from Austin, Texas. As we move more and more resources to the cloud, I'm curious, what's the plan to deal with latency?
Latency is an industry-wide issue. We have to start with developers building applications, knowing that there's speed of light issues that get in the way. There is the internet, there is the edge, and to be able to sort of really design your applications for it, and to build a platform that is robust in terms of providing the best latency characteristics. So we're doing a lot in terms of just the capital investment that's required to be ready for this. We spent over $15 billion to make sure that all our cloud services and our data centers are there everywhere. We have 18 regions of Windows Azure, which is the maximum that, is most that any public cloud has. We have 1 billion users on any given day using Microsoft services all over the globe in 90 plus countries, so we have a great footprint. We're making sure that we do things on the edge. We are doing things to be able to cache our storage at the edge to be able to improve latency. And once you get to the data center, you have to also still take care of both the north-south as well as the east-west. So we're putting in the right networking infrastructure, which is all software controlled, so that we can absolutely manage the best latency characteristics for your applications. So we have a significant focus on making sure that the apps that you build run great in a geo-distributed way. And in fact, in tomorrow's keynotes, you'll see some cool innovations in, I think, a service called Traffic Manager. So if you're a developer, you built an application, you want it to be available in China and Asia and Europe and in North America, you can take this Traffic Manager and then geo-distribute your application across our data centers and route traffic in intelligent ways so that the end user gets the best performance characteristics they deserve. So those are the things that we're doing to really help developers tackle the latency issue. All right, let's go to the next question.
Hi Satya, my name is Jonathan Nelson. I'm the founder of Hackers and Founders. We're the largest group of nerds building startups in Silicon Valley. We have 12,000 members in Silicon Valley alone and about 100,000 members globally. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how Microsoft can better help and support startups as they grow.
Startups as a community is very important for us. We have the BizSpark program. I would really encourage, if anyone is a startup here, if you've not sort of looked at BizSpark benefits, it's perhaps the best startup program with the benefits packages that go with it, both in terms of devices as well as the cloud. We have got over 75,000 startups who have taken advantage of BizSpark across the globe. We also have gotten started with Microsoft Ventures, which I'm very excited about. It's small today, but we're plan to expand it, plan to learn from it. It's got both community outreach to startups and community programs, but also seed funding and accelerators. So we now have accelerators in Silicon Valley, in Seattle, and Berlin, in Israel, in India, and in China. And so it's fantastic for us to be engaged with startups right at the seed round and create these accelerators where you get an opportunity to work with the latest and greatest Microsoft technology. And so we'll continue to push this, and feedback on this obviously is also welcome, but engaging the startup community in Silicon Valley and elsewhere is a big priority for us. All right?